Hello and welcome back. In today's Black Excellist presentation, we will highlight 10 things you didn't know about Cathay Williams.
Welcome to blackexcellist.com, the site where we celebrate Black excellence, opulence, and affluence. Our mission is to inspire you as we enlighten you.
Cathay Williams was the only woman known to serve as a Buffalo Soldier and the first African-American woman to enlist in the United States Army. She wasn't intending to be a hero or highlight a cause when she joined the Army. As a former slave with no education, she simply wanted to make her way through the world. There were probably more Black women like her, whose words were never written down. However, we want to honor them all through the story of Cathay Williams. She is an unforgotten hero who should be viewed as a pioneer for the thousands of American women serving in today's United States Armed Forces. In this original Black Excellist video, we will be featuring Buffalo Soldier Cathay Williams as we highlight and honor the triumphs, trials, and tribulations of women in the military. So without further ado, let's get started. 1. Cathay Williams was born in Independence, Missouri in September 1844. Cathay's legal status was that of a slave. Although her father was a free man, her mom was still in slavery. During her adolescence, Williams worked as a house slave on the Johnson plantation on the outskirts of Jefferson City, Missouri. In 1861, Union forces occupied Jefferson City in the early stages of the Civil War. At that time, captured slaves were officially designated by the Union as contraband. That is, enemy property that was liable to seizure in wartime, just as weapons, ammunition, and food. Along with many other slaves, Williams was given a form of limited freedom since she was still forced to serve in a military support role, such as a cook, washerwoman, and nurse for Union Army officers. 2. As a civilian, Williams would assist the Army throughout the Civil War. As a civilian, Williams continued to assist the Army throughout the Civil War, serving at various locales, including Little Rock, Arkansas, New Orleans and Shreveport in Louisiana, and Savannah and Macon, both in Georgia. In 1864, she briefly served as cook and washerwoman for General Phil Sheridan and his staff in the Shenandoah Valley Campaign. 3. Despite the prohibition against women, Williams enlisted in the U.S. Army. Cathay Williams enlisted in the United States Regular Army under the false name of William Cathay on November 15, 1866, at St. Louis, Missouri, for a 3-year engagement, passing herself off as a man. She was assigned to Company A of the 38th United States Infantry Regiment after she passed a cursory medical examination. The 38th Infantry was a newly formed all-Black U.S. Army regiment, and Williams was one of its earliest recruits. Only 2 others are known to have been privy to the deception: her cousin and a friend, both of whom were fellow soldiers in her regiment. Cathay said she joined the Army because "I wanted to make my own living and not be dependent on relations or friends." 4. When she was healthy, Williams marched through Kansas and New Mexico. On February 13, 1867, Williams was sent to Jefferson Barracks, Missouri, and a few months later, in April, the troops marched to Fort Riley, Kansas. By June, they were on the march again, this time to Fort Harker, Kansas, and the next month on to Fort Union, New Mexico, more than 500 miles away. On September 7th, the regiment moved on to Fort Cummings, New Mexico, arriving on October 1st. They were stationed there for 8 months, protecting miners and traveling immigrants from Apache attack. 5. Williams was able to conceal her femininity for 2 years. Standing at 5'9", Williams was one of the tallest privates in her company. Amazingly enough, Cathay concealed her femininity for years, despite numerous Army hospital visits before her true gender was discovered. Like most Black soldiers who served loyally through racism and a lack of training, supplies, weapons, and resources, Cathay suffered tremendously health-wise. Serving in the military took an extreme toll on her body, as she was recorded being in 4 different hospitals on 5 separate occasions. Amazingly, during these various hospitalizations, it was never discovered that she was female.
Sorry for the interruption. I'm sure you're enjoying this video. But I'm asking that you do us a favor. Click that subscribe button. Go ahead. Click the subscribe button. It's right there. I'm waiting. Aw, thank you for subscribing. Now back to more Black excellence.
6. The Fort Bayard Post surgeon discovered she was a woman. Williams contracted smallpox and was hospitalized. However, she rejoined her unit, which by then was posted in New Mexico. Possibly due to the effects of smallpox, the New Mexico heat, or the cumulative effects of years of marching, her body began to show signs of strain and exhaustion. She was hospitalized at Fort Bayard, and there the post surgeon finally discovered she was a woman and informed the post commander. At Fort Bayard, Williams was discharged from the Army by her commanding officer on October 14, 1868. 7. Rumors of an African American serving in the Army circulated in 1876. Cathay Williams went to work as a cook at Fort Union, New Mexico, and later moved to Pueblo, Colorado. Williams married, but it ended disastrously when her husband stole her money and a team of horses. Williams had him arrested. Ultimately, she moved to Trinidad, Colorado, where she made her living as a seamstress. It was at this time that Williams' story first became public. A reporter from St. Louis heard rumors of an African-American woman who had served in the Army and came to interview her. Her life and military service narrative was published in the St. Louis Daily Times on January 2, 1876. 8. Williams' pension claim was denied, citing no grounds for disability. In June 1891, Williams filed a pension application based on medical disability incurred during military service as William Cathay. A doctor employed by the U.S. Pension Bureau examined Cathay Williams. Despite the fact that she suffered from neuralgia and diabetes, she had all her toes amputated and could only walk with a crutch. The U.S. Army Pension Bureau rejected her pension claim on February 8, 1892. The U.S. Army cited no grounds for a pensionable disability, stating further that no disability even existed. Lastly, her service in the Army was deemed illegal, thus claiming that any type of pension or disability was denied. 9. Williams died around the year 1893. The exact date of Williams' death is unknown, but it is assumed she died shortly after being denied a pension, probably sometime in 1893. Her simple grave marker would have been made of wood and deteriorated long ago. Unfortunately, her final resting place is now unknown. In her death, Williams exemplifies the myriad ways in which oppressed people find ways to live. 10. Williams is honored at the Richard Allen Cultural Center. Williams was the first African-American woman to enlist and the only female documented to serve in the United States Army posing as a man. She holds the distinction of being the only female Buffalo soldier. In 2016, a bronze bust of Cathay Williams, featuring information about her and with a small rose garden around it, was unveiled outside the Richard Allen Cultural Center in Leavenworth, Kansas. In 2018, the private Cathay Williams Monument Bench was unveiled on the Walk of Honor at the National Infantry Museum.
We appreciate the fact that you stayed with us until the end. Thank you for spending time with us, and don't forget to like this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so that you never miss a video. Bye for now. We will see you tomorrow.